Hello everyone, welcome back to the Spotlight. I'm here the morning after what may be one of the lowest lows in Manchester United history. And where do we go from here? Is this the end of Ruben Amorim? Is this the end of this squad? I made a video a couple of days ago about let's talk about Amorim and saying he needs wins, and we're playing Grimsby and Burnley in the next two in an international break. And we've gone and lost to a League Two side in Grimsby in the second round of the Carabao Cup. We thought things had got as bad as they were going to get. Ruben come out with this speech at the end of last season telling us all how he's going to change things around. We've spent 200 million quid in this window. I'll do a window review when the window ends, but the window to me is good in some ways, terrible in others. And I'm not going to get into that now because I want to talk about Amorim, where we're going, what we can do to save this, if there is any saving it, and a few pointers from last night's game. And I guess we'll start with Amorim's interview after the match, where I think he's saying the players spoke for themselves tonight. That to me shows that he believes that pretty much all of the players in this squad can't get up for games like these. They're playing as individuals, not a team. There's some very subtle word in that interview that I've not heard anyone else talk about, where he says about Man United being a group of players and Grimsby being a team. And when he talks about Grimsby, he talks about a team. And when he talks about us in that interview, he talks about players. So to me, that sounds to me like he still thinks he's got a group of individuals and not a team. Then he talks about we've got Burnley, then a 2-week break, and they will sort it, I think were his words. They must mean Ineos. So there's a couple of things to take from that interview, that he's clearly at the end of his tether. I mean, there he is. I don't think he knows what to do. And there's clearly must have been talks or something going on in his head about either him walking or that he's got to change these results round, else things are going to get very drastic for him and there's the potential of the sack. I talked in my last video enough about Amorim and his stats, but there's a couple of things that you need to think about when you think about Amorim in or out, and I'm very undecided myself. He's only had 8 months at the club. He got every excuse under the sun last season why we were underperforming, learning the system, no pre-season, coming in early, they're not his players. All that's out the window this season. We had his speech at the end of the season. He's had 200 and odd million pounds spent on players plus Dorgu last January. He's had a whole pre-season to implement this system, and people say, well, you didn't get Mbeumo till late, you didn't get Sesko till whenever. It doesn't matter. The rest of the team have been training this system and playing this system for 8 months now. A couple of players slotting into a system shouldn't mean we're playing like that. Yes, they might take time to adapt, but the rest of the team should have already adapted. The problem is we're at rock bottom, so you expect bad results. And bad results are fine if you're seeing progression. But please tell me in the comments if since day one of Ruben Amorim walking into this club, if there's been any progression. I think I said it on my last video, he does a lot of talking and talks the fans up and gets all behind him. But then when the pitch he's walked onto, nothing's changed. With the same old team, regardless of formation, whatever, as we always have been. Mentality melts and can't string 2 passes together. And everyone will say, oh, well, he's still got half of Eric Ten Hag's squad. In that squad last night, there was Bruno on the bench, Ahmad, Maguire, Dalot. Really the only main players in that entire squad that were there last night that are from like the old guard. All this talk about the bomb squad and Rashford, Garnacho, Sancho, Anthony, them type of players, They're all gone, and they didn't play for us last season. I mean, gone as in they're not playing. I had a theory last night, right? And this. You tell me if I'm right or wrong. We've got rid of the so-called bomb squad, or they're on loan, or they're outed from the squad. They're not playing. They're not involved in the first team anymore. But who still is? I would argue 3 of the strongest characters at the club. Bruno Fernandes, who I don't want this video to be about, but I'll mention him because I have to. Didn't start last night. Came on. Captain of the club, has been for however long. Tell me what he did when he come on against a League 2 team. And I'm not digging Fernandes out here because they were all crap. But he's the captain, sets the standards and leads by example. And he was absolutely as crap as everybody else when he come on. He's been the captain of the club now for 3 seasons, is it? Maybe 4. Every season as him captain, we've regressed further. The second player we've still got in the dressing room was our previous captain, Harry Maguire, who some say he's had a redemption at the club. He's come back from the depths of doom and he's doing all right. Okay, yeah, he might put us in some half-decent performances, but he has got to still be a vocal point in that dressing room as a former captain and probably still vice-captain of the club. And he's still there, a captain who the fan base and the manager outed as our captain is still probably one of the main voices in that dressing room. Then you've got Diego Dalot, who has been at the club for a long time now as well. He's clearly an AMORIM favourite. He will be in with Bruno with the Portuguese ties. He's a senior player who's been there a long time, who will influence the dressing room. Is there something to be said that our captain, former captain, and players like Dalot are still influencing the dressing room too much? And we've pinned all this dressing room downfall on players like Rashford, Garnacho and Sancho, and I'm not excusing them here. They're a disgrace to this football club and need to leave. But the captain, the vice-captain, and one of the other most senior players have been our captain and vice-captain now for probably the last 6 years since the Ollie days. Maguire's been captain. And they're still our captains and leaders in that dressing room now. And we're still losing games and throwing mentality tantrums. Bruno Fernandes, our captain, has regressed us further down the league as a captain since he's become captain. Argue that fact with me all you like, but go and look at the league table, how many goals we've scored, where we've finished, downward trajectory since he's become captain. And if you want my take on Bruno as a whole, I've got loads of videos where I rant on about Bruno. I'm not going to do it again in this video. I'm sick to death of him. We should have sold him. I'm sick of the narrative he's a saviour. I'm sick of the narrative he's world class. If he's world class captain for Manchester United and we're 2-0 down against Grimsby, he comes on and he puts a performance in that makes us win the game. And yes, everyone will go, but when he come on, we got back to 2-2. Note to do with him. We had Mbeumo who got the ball on the left and created a chance for himself. And we scored off a corner. Bruno didn't do anything to influence that game. And I'm going to talk about formation now, and everyone will say formation, we should be beating Grimsby regardless of formation, but it's more than one game, this. We're going to a League 2 team playing Mainu and Agate in midfield. Agate is like an absolute disaster of a signing. He is one of the worst signings we've made in a long time. And just because he don't kick up a stink and act a prat off the pitch, everybody thinks that he's okay, he can come good, he can tackle. He is absolutely crap. If we're outing Højlund and Onana for not being up to standard to play for this team, Agate needs outing as well. Because he's as bad, if not worse, than both of them. And just on Onana, people will blame us losing that game on Onana and his terrible goalkeeping. And yes, it is horrendous goalkeeping. Yes, the goals are his fault. Yes, he's got weak wrists on the penalties. It doesn't matter. He should be able to drop 2 balls in his own goal against Grimsby and we're still scoring 6. We've got 6 number 10s on the pitch at the end. What is that all about? Why are we playing 6 number 10s? And we still can't score a goal. We've got Benjamin Sesko we paid £70 million for. Can't start a Premier League game. Gets a start against Grimsby. A striker who needs a goal can't score versus Grimsby. Then we get to a penalty shootout and you think, oh yeah, surely Sesko's going to take a pen. 10th in the list of penalty takers. A £70 million striker. 10th in the list of penalties. Behind kids. Behind centre-backs. Behind everybody. What is going on with that? What does that say about his mentality and confidence that he can't go to Grimsby and take one of the first 5 penalties as a Man United striker? It's absolutely unbelievable. Absolutely insane. Like, I don't get it. And I mean, where do we go now? I mean, are you AMORIM in or AMORIM out? I don't know what I am at the minute because he's only had 8 months. And like I said, I want him to get more time, but there's no evidence that more time makes this better based on the time he's had. And I'm not having this, it's not his squad yet, it's not his players. 4 of them players he played last night, or 4 of the players in the squad, he's bought. One of them's a wing back and 3 of them are forwards. Well, 3 of them, one of them's a forward and 2 of them are 10s, where we've already got about 8 other number 10s. We're not fixing problems, we're buying problems to fix problems we didn't have. And people say we did have goal scoring problems. We've still got goal scoring problems with those players playing. Because what's behind them doesn't get the ball to him or doesn't retain possession well enough. I'm lost for words. And I don't want to say I'm AMORIM out, but where does the confidence come that he can change this? Because the window shuts in a couple of days. And if we don't get a keeper and a midfielder, we're not getting in Europe. If we don't get into Europe, it's the end of AMORIM anyway. So, do you pull the plug now? Is the question. Have you seen enough as a Man United fan to pull the plug now? And I'm this close to it. And a good result against Burnley doesn't change it. But the problem is, and I said this on FUTV the other day, last night after the game, that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer had this trait of getting battered by 4 or 5, playing one game before an international break, winning it by 3 or 4, and everybody forgets, and we come back from the international break and start getting battered again. I think it's probably too early to sack AMORIM now, but I think the November international break is the cutting point. If there is no progression between now and the November international break, I would sack him in the November international break. So he's got 2 months now to prove to me that he can change this and change it for the better, or at least see progression. Because to come back from losing to Grimsby after his previous record of results, there's a long way back. And I've seen a lot of people now, after last night's result, say that AMORIM has to go, or he has to change the way we're playing to get some results to save himself, to build what he wants to build. And I don't think, if AMORIM come out and spoke tomorrow or in his next press conference and said, look, I've tried to do it my way, we haven't got the players, it's not working, I'm going to revert to a 4-3-3 or a 3, whatever. Even if he stays 3 at the back and plays 4 in midfield, or if he goes to a 4-3-3 or a 4-2-4 or whatever, and he says, I'm going to get results doing this, and he does, then we get another window and we buy 3 or 4 more players and he tries 3 at the back again and it works fine. But if he carries on with this 3 at the back, 2-man midfield with Hollywood ball midfielders, he will be sacked. It doesn't matter whether you're AMORIM or AMORIM out right now, because if he continues to get results like he has been for the last 30 games, it doesn't matter whether you like him or not, he's gone. So he has to adapt to get results. Because if he doesn't get results, he's gone anyway. So is he too mentally strong or thinks he's too big to change his system? You play in my system and make it work, or I go. People will probably say that Ruben Amorim's strong for walking out. He walked out of one club already. He left Sporting and he's potentially going to walk out of Man United. I think walking out doesn't show a sign of strength. I think it shows a sign of, I can't make this work, so I'm off to go find the job where I can make it work. I think he would be stronger if he admitted his failures, changed his system to get results, and then if he thinks the system can work in a season's time with more players, try it again. I think what people will laud Amorim for walking out. I think it's weak. And that's where I'm going to leave it. Tell me a couple of things downstairs in the comments. Are you Amorim in or Amorim out? And do you think Amorim is strong for walking, or do you think it's weak because he's leaving a job that he can't resolve because he's too stubborn to change to make it work? What do you think? Get in the comments. Hopefully we can beat Burnley to take a little bit of the pressure off. But if he loses to Burnley, he could be gone as early as this international break. Then where do we go? Because there's nobody available. So I don't know. We'll talk about new managers when they come around. But quickly on a new manager, and I said I was going, if Amorim did walk, get sacked, we need a manager who's going to build stability in this squad. We don't need the next up-and-coming best thing from Europe who thinks we're going to go to City and win leagues. We need a Thomas Frank. We need an Eddie Howe. Somebody who's managed in the Premier League, knows how to beat teams in the Premier League and build a good spine of a team to work around. We don't need fancy formations. We don't need tiki-taka football coming from Spain. We need a manager who can get results in the Premier League and then you build from there. Simple as. We've tried Eric Ten Hag. He was the next big thing. City were in for him. Failed. We've tried Ruben Amorim. Again, the next big thing from Sporting, plays this fancy system. If we don't get him, City, we're going to get him. Failed. Ineos have built a reputation of building on Premier League proven. And that is where we need to go for the next manager if Amorim is sacked, in my opinion. But there'll be more manager talk when it happens. It could happen as early as this weekend or in the international break. I would give him till the November international break to prove he can win games. And if we're not winning games by then, I will be 100% Amorim out by the November international break. And I will talk to you on the next video, and hopefully it won't be another collapse against Burnley. Poosh.